Hello everyone, this is Blade Bananas. Welcome to another video. In this video we're going to showcase a team that we played during our first day of Remix Cup. So Remix Cup, for those of you who don't know, is a special format that Niantic came up with, which got rid of the top 10 most common Pokemon in Open Great League, which includes Pokemon like Azumarill, Galarian Stunfisk, and Skarmory, which happened to be the strongest counter against a Shadow Dragonite. So I thought it would be a lot of fun to use Shadow Dragonite, to build a team around Shadow Dragonite. So that's why I'm leading with the Shadow Dragonite, with Draco Meteor and Dragon Claw. So Draco Meteor does a ton of damage, even to Pokemon that resists Dragon typing. I think it does like 40% even to a Bastidon, so it's really good nuke to have. And then we have, obviously we need to cover for the ice weakness of Dragonite. So we have Registeel, and then the ice and fairy typing coverage. So we have Registeel in the back. And then we have Defense from Deoxys as a safe swap. It's really solid Pokemon to have. One of the best safe swaps. This team is not the most accessible to a lot of people because a lot of people probably don't have access to Defense from Deoxys. But I only have one Defense from Deoxys, but it is just really strong to have. You could replace Defense from Deoxys with something like a Mew or a Sableye, both of which should work fairly well as well. But if you have a Sableye, you might want to use Registeel in the lead, so you're not double weak to Charm in the lead and in the back. But anyways, I think I climbed around 180 points. I went all the way up to 3150 MMR with this team, and I think I should be on the front page of the global leaderboard once it refreshes. But yeah, I think this team is incredibly strong. It's very balanced, and Dragonite will tear up anything that we see. So without further ado, let's get into the battles. We have a Nidoqueen in the lead. I'm going to go through those Dragon Claws because we get to the move before they do, but they make an amazing swap here to catch it on the Mandibuzz. But because they swapped in, I'm going to try to farm a little bit more before swapping out to catch a move from them as well, to return the favor. And now Registeel can just absolutely soak up all these foul plays from Mandibuzz, which is really great. Obviously, I think Flash Cannon does a little bit more, so I'm going to go for the Flash Cannons. Obviously, my Defense from Deoxys doesn't want to see this, right? So I do go for the Flash Cannon. My opponent is building up a lot of energy, but he's not throwing. He makes another really amazing catch here. Really well played by my opponent, catching this Flash Cannon. And he gets to the move here, which should be an Earth Power. But I decided to shield because I recognize that I can farm this Nidoqueen all the way down, which is essentially what I do here. And then let's see what they have in the back. They have a... you guys are going to be so surprised. They have a Vulluby. It's an XL Vulluby, 1420 CP. It actually has a better moveset than Mandibuzz. So it's basically a better version of Mandibuzz in the Great League. It has Brave Bird and Foul Play, really strong set. And it has Air Slash as a fast move, so really solid Pokemon. So we stayed in there to force them to throw energy, and then we come back in with our Dragonite. This game is going to come down to the wire, because DD can tank 2 moves from the Mandibuzz, but their Mandibuzz is also very low, so we need to get this Dragon Claw off for sure. And now I'm swapping out. So here's where I had to make a decision. I wasn't sure which one would do more damage, but I decided to shield this one. And they have 2 foul plays loaded from the Mandibuzz, so we really need to tank this. It is super effective. But Mandibuzz is also very defense heavy, so it has very low attack stat, and we're just barely able to tank it. And then we farm down the Mandibuzz, and now we can go for the Psycho Boost in order to KO this opponent Vulluby XL. Very well played game by my opponent, but it came down to the wire for sure. Alright, so I accidentally queued into Open Great League. That's why we're seeing a Swampert there. But it was a good lead, and then I came out with the Pelipper. I'm gonna go for the Dragon Claw. This should do a ton of damage if they no shield. As you guys saw, that probably did like 50%. So now I'm just gonna swap into Deoxys, and I'm looking to counter this Pelipper all the way down, because I could tank whatever this Pelipper throw at us. That was so much damage from Dragonite to this Pelipper if they know shield. So now I counter this all the way down. They come back in with the Swampert most likely. They do. So now I'm gonna go for a Psycho Boost here. You always want to do a few counters before throwing the Psycho Boost because it will debuff you. We do get a shield there. They recognize that the first Psycho Boost will do the most damage, right? Which is a smart play. And now I'm gonna keep going for the Psycho Boosts. But my opponent throws some energy here. This is when I go back in with my Dragonite, I believe. Yep. And I think I'm gonna no shield this. Let's see. Yep. So I know I tank 100 cannon. It still did a ton of damage. Turned out they had a Skarmory in the back. So yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, Skarmory and Swampert are actually all banned in Remix Cup. But fortunately, we had a good alignment here. That's why we should be able to take this game pretty comfortably. But yeah, because of all these Skarms and Azumarills and Galarian Stunfisks, is why I don't run Shadow Dragonite in the Open Great League. Those Pokemon are just too oppressive against a Dragon type, right? Especially a very squishy Dragon type Pokemon. Here, I think I'm just going to shield here and then just farm all the way down with the Dragon Breaths. Because I do recognize that they're very low and they don't get to another move. So we were able to take that game. Alright, so next up, we're back to Remix Cup. Alright, we're against a Mew. In this lead, I just stay in because I know I will win this in the 2 shields. Even if they bait me with the Surf twice, they're not going to get to another move. So, yep. So I'm just going to stay in here. I will shield the first move. If it's Wild Charge, it will KO. So we force a shield. We're still ahead in terms of shields. My opponent throws here. They did go for the Surf, so this could be a Wild Charge. But it's just another Surf. So I just double shield and I farm this Mew down, which is totally fine by me. I get tons of energy here and I take switch advantage. Turns out they had a Blastoise in the back. And this is really good for Dragonite because this will do a ton of damage, as you guys are going to see. And I go for another Dragon Claw. This will do so much damage. This will actually take out this Blastoise. It almost takes it out. And my opponent swaps out right away. I should have swapped out a little faster here, which is that was a little dangerous by me. But fortunately, we do have Deoxys in the back for this Scrafty. So what we can do is come out with Deoxys, throw the Thunderbolt to get a shield, and then we come back in with the Registeel, and all we have to do is land a Flash Cannon here. I think my opponent will probably try to go for a Sack Swap, but let's see. Yep, so it doesn't matter how much energy the Scrafty has, it's not going to be able to take down this Registeel before we get to this Flash Cannon. That's just how tanky a Registeel is. And then they have a Blastoise, which died to exactly 1 lock-on. Alright, next up, we're against a very strong player. He's running a Quagsire. Very scary for my Registeel, so I have to stay in here. Right, I'm going to throw this when they get to the Stone Edge. But I actually missed it by a little bit, so we didn't get the CMP tie. And I came into a Vigroth. I do have 2 Dragon Claws here. I'm going to throw 1 and I'm going to swap out into my defense form Deoxys. So they already have 2 Pokemon that are very bad for my Registeel. So I'm hoping that my Registeel can be good against whatever they have in the back. Here they're going to go for another Body Slam. And I think I'm going to do a few more counters and then I have to throw the Psycho Boost. Or actually I go for the Thunderbolt in order to take out this Vigroth without debuffing myself. And next up, they come back in with the Quagsire. I'm going to get off this Psycho Boost just before they get to the Stone Edge. So I don't want a CMP tie. My opponent swaps out. They actually had a Toxicroak in the back, which is really fine by me because I could definitely get to this Psycho Boost. And it turned out they had 3 Pokemon that hard counters a Registeel. My Registeel essentially had nowhere to go. but fortunately Dragonite and Deoxys are just really good against the other Pokemon that they had. So I'm gonna shield this. I think my opponent actually came into my stream and said that he just wanted a 3 Pokemon that destroys a Bastidon. But unfortunately we do have a Dragonite, which is really good against his team, and we're able to comfortably take down his team with just 2 Pokemon without even revealing our Registeel. Alright, so next up we're against a Jellicent. He has Bubble. So I'm gonna try to tie on the when they get to a nuke of Ice Beam or Shadow Ball here. So I throw the Dragon Claw. My opponent doesn't shield. I think I will have to shield here, hoping that my opponent doesn't bait me. My opponent does bait me with the Bubble Beam, but that's fine. He can't get to another move. He can't bait and get to another move, right? So they come out with a Altaria. I'm gonna throw this and I'm gonna swap out because I do have a really good 2 good answers to this Altaria. That Dragon Claw did huge amount of damage, which basically puts this Altaria in Psycho Boost range, right? And I think I make a misplay here going for a Psycho Boost. Yep, I should not have gone for a Psycho Boost here because it's gonna I was locked in and this is gonna completely debuff myself really hard. I'm gonna come back in. Actually, no, I'm just going to keep throwing Thunderbolt now. I'm hoping that my opponent throws some energy. Let's see. I want to go for another Thunderbolt, which forces my opponent to throw some energy here. So he does go for the Flash Cannon. And we do have some energy stored on the Dragonite. I could get this Dragon Claw off. This is going to be really close. My opponent does have 2 shield, but we do force a shield right here. Yep, so we force a shield right there, and they throw energy, so I'm gonna let this go. At this point, we have 1 shield, they have 1 shield, but our Reggie doesn't die to 1 Focus Blast, right? So what I will do is go for a Flash Cannon, because my Flash Cannon will actually KO my opponent. We get the last shield, and now we shield 1 Focus Blast. We could actually still tank a Focus Blast. We're not in Focus Blast range. My opponent is very smart with the energy, but my opponent actually got farmed down with before getting to the Focus Blast. So we were able to just throw the Flash Cannon to the Altaria, and my opponent just gave up. Here we're against a Medicham, pretty good lead. They're probably running Ice Punch, so we do get to the move at the same time. I'm gonna see what my opponent does here. So my opponent doesn't shield. That means I could shield and then just comfortably Dragon Breath all the way down this Medicham. But my opponent actually swaps out into a Lickitung. I didn't know what to do there. I make a huge misplay. I should have thrown a move there. But if I throw a move there, I risk getting a CMP tied against this Lickitung because we get to the move at the same time. So instead, I just go into my defense from Deoxys. I tank 2 Body Slam here. The great thing about defense from Deoxys right now is we can get off 2 moves right here. So they do shield the first Thunderbolt, and we could still get to the Psycho Boost before they're able to fast move us all the way down, which is really great for us. We do have the counter that does super effective damage as well, so very important there. We almost have a move stored. We did build up a little bit of energy, so now we force our opponent to make a decision if they want to save this Medicham. My opponent does want to save the Medicham. That means I will make the same decision basically. I will shield up on my Dragonite to see what they have in the back. Turns out they had a Whiscash in the back, so I'm hoping to CMP tie here to make my opponent completely out of energy. My opponent. So that was a CMP tie, and that was basically our win condition, because now we can we got it really low into Flash Cannon range, and they're out of energy, right? Very, very important there, because now I don't think they get to 2 Mud Bombs, and basically they can't counter us down at this point. They have to throw energy with the Medicham in order to take out our Registeel, because we were able to make the Whiscash spend energy there. And yep, so they come back in with the Medicham. They probably didn't even get to a move there, and now we just go for this Flash Cannon. Registeel is an absolute tank, and we're able to take that game. Once you take out the Galarian Stunfisk out of the game, Registeel just dominates a lot of Pokemon. Alright, here we're against Jellicent. Again, I think I'm going to go for the CMP tie yet again. Because 5 is when they get to the move. Alright, I go for the Dragon Claw. I can't generally swap out of this because my defense from Deoxys is really bad against the Jellicent. I wanted to call a Bubble Beam bait, but we ended up getting Ice Beamed in the face. That was very unfortunate. So we have to come back in with our Registeel. I'm gonna go for Flash Cannons right away. So my opponent probably goes for a Shadow Ball here, but I'm not gonna shield because Registeel does tank this very well. I'm gonna farm up, and am I gonna throw? I will throw the Flash Cannon before they get to the Shadow Ball. So now we're out of energy, but fortunately we do have 2 shields, so it all depends on what they have in the back. They had a Medicham in the back and a Bastidon, so this is why DD is so good. Defense from Deoxys absolutely breaks that core of Medicham and Bastidon. They came back in with Bastidon, that's totally fine. I throw 1 Thunderbolt, and now I'm gonna farm this Bastidon all the way down. Very, very satisfying here. I was so glad to. I think my win condition is them having this core because my defense from Deoxys can definitely handle this core. I was really banking on the fact that they had a Bastidon in the back when I saw the Medicham, and I'm really glad that was the case. Here at the Medicham, we just countered down the Bastidon. We had a ton of energy. We got the last shield. So now I'm going to go for the Psycho Boost. So I think I want to throw Psycho Boost and then swap out. I do. I need to get to this Flash Cannon, hopefully. I should probably swap out into my Regi right away. But here, they get off another Power Punch. This is going to come down to the wire yet again. We're 1 counter away from being taken out by the Medicham, but fortunately we do get this Flash Cannon off on this Medicham to win the game. We still had a Psycho Boost stored on our DD, so we might have still won, but that was very close. Alright, we're against the Shiny Mew. The Shiny Mew looks to have very nice IV here. We go for a Dragon Claw here. I always like to throw when they get to the move. So they get to a Wild Charge here, so I'm gonna shield. In case they throw the Wild Charge, they do go for the Wild Charge, and they came in with the Diggersby, which was really interesting because Diggersby is not great against the Dragonite, right? So I'm gonna chip it down a little bit, and then I'm gonna swap out just to preserve my Dragonite for later against a Mew. Because my Dragonite is very good against a Mew. They actually had Hyper Beam, so I'm so glad I got out of the matchup, because the Hyper Beam will almost certainly one-shot a full health Shadow Dragonite, right? So we get off that move, Psycho Boost. My opponent goes for another move here, which is just a Fire Punch. So he's not running the Earthquake, which is a good, smart play, I think. I'm going to go for a Psycho Boost here against the Mew. We already debuffed once, but it still does a decent amount. And then it turned out they had a S-Victreebel in the back. So I have perfect answer with Registeel. What I'm going to do is grab that last shield. So now my opponent is in Flash Cannon range, right? Because they have no shield now. We actually don't have to shield anything. I'm just banking on that my Dragonite can probably finish off this game anyways with a shield, because their Mew does have some energy. I do need to save that shield for the Mew. They get the Leaf Tornado, we get attack fell. But this actually works out a little bit better because now we farm this S-Victreebel all the way down. And they came back in with the Mew. What I can do is just shield their move. And then get off this Focus Blast. And I think I went for the Focus Blast just for fun. Because they both KO at that range. And Focus Blast was actually resisted. But good game to my opponent. Next game, I think this game is very tough. Yeah, Registeel is very tough in the lead. Obviously Steel typing is not great. As you can see, the lock-ons are like doing almost the same damage as my Dragon Breaths, which is kind of insane. I do have to shield the Flash Cannons. I think I just go for the big move because they don't get to another Flash Cannon here. And I'm looking to swap out because my attack is heavily that was so much damage. That was incredible to see. So I swap into my DD to clear the debuff on my Dragonite. They have a Jellicent in the back. We get a shield with the Thunderbolt, which is very nice. So they're gonna throw a Shadow Ball here probably, which almost KOs, but as you guys are gonna see, it doesn't. So I'm gonna get off this Psycho Boost just to chip down this Jellicent a little bit more. Registeel is not great against a Jellicent, so I think I'm actually gonna go into my Dragonite here. I do have to shield though. I do have to shield, yep. Because Ice Beam will one-hit KO, and our Registeel will not be good against the Jellicent. But it turned out they had another Ghost type Pokemon in the back. So they had a team of Registeel double Ice Pokemon. Very, very good against my team. Double Ghost. Just because they have two really solid counters against my Dragonite. And with Froslass, with the energy here, can just get off 2 Shadow Ball and KO my Registeel even as an Ice type. And I wasn't able to take down the Froslass with my Dragonite, so it was game over. It was a very tough game for us to come back from, unfortunately. Alright, so here we're against a Medicham. Again, a pretty good lead. I'm just gonna throw this on when they get to the Ice Punch, hoping to grab a shield. We do grab a shield. That means I could safely shield here as well. And let's see if my opponent wants to stay in this matchup. They actually have a Lickitung as well, so I'm looking to throw this Dragon Claw and then immediately swap out, hoping that this is not a CMP tie. But it was a CMP tie, so this is not great for me. Definitely not great for me. And I think I'm gonna farm a little bit more. I want to farm to a Dragon Claw. Yep, I farm to a Dragon Claw. I go into my Registeel. They're very low here. So what I'm looking to do is just lock on all the way down. I want to come out of this matchup with a lot of energy to hit back against whatever they have, right? Which is what I do here. I farm this all the way down. And let's see what they have. They come back in with the Medicham, totally fine. I get off this Flash Cannon. If they no shield, the Medicham is going to be really, really low. And because they have Medicham, I'm actually suspecting that they may have a Bastidon in the back. Just because Medicham and Bastidon just pairs up really, really well. But they actually do farm us all the way down. My switch clock was back up. I wanted to swap into my defense from Deoxys, but I wasn't able to. So now I swap, and they have a Bastidon in the back, so my opponent surrenders the match. Just like we expected. This is why I really love defense from Deoxys, just because it handles Medicham and Bastidon. It's just so satisfying when you see that core. Alright, here we're against a Mandibuzz. Oh, this is a very tough lead. Let's see. Fortunately, it has Air Slash, so it generates energy a little bit slower. So they get to the move right here. I'm gonna shield the first one, and I'm just gonna see what my opponent does here. I'm gonna go for a Dragon Claw. My opponent is 2 fast moves away from the next one, and I'm looking to catch. Let's see. Yep, so I do look for the catch, and I was able to barely catch a foul play here, I think. So we tank it on the Reggie, and we bait out a Jellicent. It's very nice to see the Jellicent here, so that our defense from Deoxys does not have to match up against a Jellicent, right? And I actually don't think a Shadow Ball will KO us at this range. Let's see. So they do go for the Shadow Ball, and now I'm gonna get to the Flash Cannon. This will do a lot of damage if my opponent doesn't shield. It will get the Jellicent really low. So it's in the red, which is really nice. My opponent can't farm me down because I'm gonna get to another Flash Cannon. And they're throwing energy here, which is really nice for me. I do have a move stored. He has a lot of energy, so I'm gonna throw a little bit more energy. I mean, do a lot more fast moves. And then I'm gonna throw the move. My opponent thought we were gonna throw right away, but I know that he was 1 fast move away from the next move. That's why I wanted to do some Dragon Breaths first. He came back with the Jellicent. I'm gonna shield this. We forced a CMP tie, so we got the shield from my opponent Jellicent. And now I can farm this Jellicent really safely. and it turned out they had a Politoed in the back. Again, I'm looking for that CMP tie. I want my opponent out of energy and out of shields. So here we go for another Dragon Claw. We have so much energy loaded just from all the Dragon Breaths farm downs. Does so much damage. And now I came back in with my Deoxys. My opponent cannot deal with the Deoxys at that point. They could go for 4 Weather Balls. I think that's how many it takes to KO my DD at that point. Alright, so next matchup we're against Altaria. So interesting fact, Dragonite actually beats Altaria in the 0 shield because this Dragon Claw will almost KO. So my opponent had to shield there. I already grabbed a shield and now I swap out. I don't want to get farmed down by Altaria. That's why I swap out into my defense from Deoxys, and I want to see what my opponent has in the back. My opponent came back in with the Registeel. That was very, very interesting. That makes me think they must have another tank in the back, right? So I was thinking there's just no reason they would come back in with the Registeel when if they have something else. So I was thinking they might have a Bastidon in the back. So that's all I'm banking on. I'm banking that they have a Bastidon in the back. So I need to win switch advantage. I need to match up my defense from Deoxys against this Altaria. I need to match up my Dragonite against this Altaria and let my Registeel face up against a Bastidon in the back that I'm suspecting. Let's see. Turned out they had a Vigroth, which is actually totally fine because we barely get to this Dragon Claw. They have to shield, or we can probably just fast move down. And we get the last shield. Now I can just go for this Focus Blast and to take this game. So very, very, very close game actually, because they had a Vigroth in the back. That's why they can't really come out with Vigroth against my defense from Deoxys, right? But yeah, fortunately we won that game. They have Ferrothorn here. I have 3 good answers to a Ferrothorn. So when they come out into a Sableye, which counters my entire backline, I'm gonna stay in this matchup for sure. So I'm gonna shield here. I'm gonna match the shields. We do get to the move at the same time, but Dragonite does win CMP. So here I'm gonna go for this Dragon Claw. Again on the CMP tie, I force a shield or I just win switch advantage for sure. And it turned out they had a Mandibuzz in the back. So again, I can't swap out. Because if I swap out, I'm going to have a matchup with my defense from Deoxys versus the Mandibuzz. And that's not a great matchup. So I go into my Registeel. But I think a safer play there would be just swap into Registeel. And I don't think my opponent will go into a Ferrothorn versus a Registeel. So I will have my defense from Deoxys to match up against a Ferrothorn anyways, right? So here obviously my opponent is still staying. It makes sense. He's gonna get off another move before swapping out. And let's see. Yep. And now I anticipate the swap. I wanted to snipe down my opponent Mandibuzz as well. And my opponent sees the defense from Deoxys versus the Ferrothorn and decides to surrender the match, which makes sense. Alright, I think this may be the game that I massively misplay. It's going to be really cringe for me to see some misplays on my side, but we'll go through them. I went on a 16-4 streak with this team, and then I had a couple bad games afterwards, but it was really, really fun for me. Going on a huge streak with the team that I just built. Here, they do shield and bait me with the Bubble Beam, but that's fine. We still get to the next Dragon Claw before they get to the nuke. Let's see. My opponent doesn't shield here, so they actually had okay, I make a huge misplay. What I should have done is go into my Registeel there against their own Registeel, because I know my defense from Deoxys is already a really good answer to the Registeel, right? And now I have now I'm in a really bad situation because the Reggie has a little bit of energy, and our defense from Deoxys just got taken out for free. And I have to shield against the Sableye, so now we're down a shield as well. This is just terrible by me. If I just went into my Registeel against their Registeel, then this game would be so much better. But now we're in a bad situation. We're down a shield. I have to go for this Dragon Claw, hoping to take out the shield, but it doesn't matter at this point. My opponent goes for a Flash Cannon to take out my Dragonite, and they still have a shield remaining. They have some residual energy as well. What they can do is just go for a Flash Cannon and a Focus Blast at this point. So they do go for the Focus Blast. I'm gonna go for this Flash Cannon bait. My opponent gives up the shield finally, and now I'm gonna go for this Focus Blast, but as you guys are gonna see, my opponent got the residual energy and therefore is able to take down my Registeel here. So good game to my opponent. I made a huge misplay with the swap there. Otherwise I think we could have taken the game as well, but mistakes happen, we're gonna learn from them. Alright, next up we're against a Toxicroak. I'm already very scared when I see Toxicroak swapping into a Charm user instantly, because now I'm thinking there's another Charm user in the back. We'll see. I'm already suspecting there's another Charm user, right? So what I want to do is preserve my Registeel, hopefully come out with a Flash Cannon for their second Charmer. Let's see what I do here. So I'll go for a Flash Cannon. My opponent doesn't shield, which is really smart. Because I'm suspecting they have another Charmer in the back, I think I'm just going to shield this because shields are useless against Charmers, right? I instantly swap out into my Dragonite to chuck down, just to chunking down the Toxicroak. And they came back in with a Wigglytuff. And now I have to rely on my defense from Deoxys to finish off this game. And there is actually a chance, guys. Because the counter is doing neutral damage, Wigglytuff is normal and fairy typing. It's already doing a ton of damage. So what I can do is get off 2 Psycho Boosts back to back to grab the last 2 shields, right? And then I can just store 1 more Psycho Boost and swap out to clear my debuff. That's why we saved the Registeel for, and that was great for us. Now we just get off the last Psycho Boost. So we got off 3 Psycho Boosts in a row to take out this Wigglytuff. And that was a very good game, well played. So saving the Registeel was really important there because it ended up giving us a chance to clear the debuff, right? Here we're against the Diggersby, really good lead. Do I mess this up? They swap into Mandibuzz, okay. I'm going to go for this Dragon Claw to chip it down a little bit, and then I'm going to swap into my Registeel. So this is where Registeel obviously is not as strong of a Pokemon compared to Bastidon or something like Galarian Stunfisk, right? Because I do charge up very slowly, and I don't have anything that hits for super effective against a flying type Pokemon. But it's still a very good answer. I'm gonna go for this Flash Cannon. I'm looking to farm down this Mandibuzz. This is another mistake I make. This is actually going to be very cringe because I do get to the Flash Cannon, but I'm not throwing. I'm looking to farm this down, and I don't want to shield this because I do know I have 2 good answers to their lead. So I decided to just let it go and see what they have in the back. They have another Froslass. So that's when I knew that I definitely messed up, because my opponent's strategy was baiting out my Registeel, and then there's nothing I can do against this Froslass. We do have 2 shields, however, but it's still very, very tough at this point, because even though our counter does super effective against this Diggersby, none of our charge move is actually good against this Diggersby. So it was definitely a huge misplay by me. If I saved my Registeel, I get the shield back with our Registeel versus their Froslass. They get a little bit of farm, but then we have perfect alignment, and this game would be a different story. Because our Dragonite should theoretically wall this Diggersby with only Fire Punch and Earthquake. So now it's looking really terrible. I'm going to store some energy with my defense from Deoxys, but as you guys are going to see, it's not going to matter too much. So I go for this Thunderbolt here. Right, Thunderbolt, and my opponent shields and then just farms me down with the shield. He had extra energy, so it doesn't matter if I shielded the Fire Punch from earlier. because yeah, Shadow Ball will do the most damage anyways. Alright, again, another Diggersby. They go into Altaria. This is perfect. I love seeing Altaria swap things, because what we can do is go for a Dragon Claw and then just swap into my Registeel. And now this Altaria is absolutely crying right now because he's already expended a shield, and he's not going to be able to take down my Registeel with only one shield remaining. So I wanted to throw before he gets to the Sky Attack, but it turned out to be a CMP tie, so I'm going to undercharge this by just a little bit, right? Just undercharge it a little bit, and then I farmed this Altaria down instead of taking this Altaria out. That gives us extra energy, so we get to this Focus Blast versus this Diggersby, which is very good for us. I'm going to swap out right away because I do have 2 counters in the back here. I have a Defense from Deoxys that counters this Diggersby, and we have a Dragonite counters my opponent there. And they have a Wigglytuff here, and I definitely regret my decision not shielding the Earthquake there. And now this puts me in a very awkward situation. I need to get the shields down. I did save my Registeel. My Registeel did have some energy as well, so I just have to get to a move with my Registeel. I just have to. I have to hope that my Registeel gets to a move. I'm gonna shield this, obviously. Oh god, this is gonna be so close. I have to survive like 3 more charms. 1, 2, 2 more charms, and then we get to the Flash Cannon to take out this Wigglytuff. And now we have our Dragonite versus Diggersby, and this should be game over. They're not gonna get to 2 moves. That was so close. Our Registeel had 1 HP, just barely enough to take out my opponent Charmer, and we're able to win that game just barely. Alright, next up. This might be another game that I mess up. Yeah, this is the game that I mess up massively. Alright, let's see how I mess up here. I'm gonna throw the Dragon Claws just when they get to the Rock Slide. This is generally a good time to throw the move. And now I'm gonna match the shields because I want to see what my opponent does, right? I'm gonna match the shields, and I'm gonna throw Dragon Claw. Just I could have thrown it a little bit earlier. I mean, a little bit later, like 2 more Dragon Breaths. So they get off Dragon Claw here. I'm gonna shield and just farm down. I think I make a huge mistake. Yep. So I know they have something weak to my dragon, right? And they go into a Charmer, and I swap into Registeel, which is my hardest counter to the Charmer. Essentially, I gave up switch advantage, and of course they have a hard counter to me with the Shadow Ninetales or regular Shadow Ninetales, and this is just terrible. I get farmed down. I have a move stored on my Dragonite, but I'm not gonna throw any energy because I actually want to get taken out here, I think. Because if I throw energy and take my opponent out, my opponent will get a little bit more energy on their Wigglytuff, right? At least now I get a little bit jumpstart energy with my Deoxys, but the mistake was already done. It was really tough for me to come back from. I'm gonna go for a Thunderbolt, and I just have to pray that my Psycho Boost, my next Psycho Boost could KO here, because my opponent gets to move right here. I have to throw this Psycho Boost. If it doesn't kill, my opponent gets a move off, and it's game over. And yep, my opponent does get to a move here, and it should be game over after this. I think like 1 more charm. Yep, 1 more charm, and we get taken out. Actually, it turned out to be very close, but it would be a lot better if I just swapped into my defense from Deoxys and to force my opponent to swap into the Ninetales, and then we can have our Registeel lined up against the Charmer, right? But yeah, we learn from these mistakes. Here we're against the same Mew player. We actually played this person earlier in this video back to back, just 1 hour before this battle, I think. So I know that his Diggersby is running Hyper Beam. I'm gonna shield this, and I'm so glad I shielded the Hyper Beam, and then I could farm all the way down before they get to the next Hyper Beam. And I think my opponent just recognizes he has no answer, because I think he has a Shadow Victreebel in the back as well. So Shadow Victreebel, a Mew, they have no answer to my Shadow Dragonite. Huge respect to this person for playing the match out. Alright, here we're against the Deoxys lead against the Charmer. I have to go into my safe swap Deoxys. They actually came out with a Scrafty. Scrafty is not a counter to Deoxys. That means I could take back switch advantage here. So I'm gonna fight for switch advantage because my Dragonite is essentially useless against the charm user, right? I just have to get a switch advantage no matter what. My opponent doesn't shield this. I was fine with either 2 shields, or I was gonna get a switch advantage here. Unfortunately, I did have to shield 2 power punches. If I just shield the first power play, this would be so much better. But we're down a shield. At least we're taking switch advantage. So the good thing about this is our Registeel is still very good against a Wigglytuff, a Charmer, right? Basically walls the Charmer. And they do have a fighter in the back, which is Toxicroak. Good thing, again, with Dragonite compared to Altaria is this Dragonite gets to move much faster. It forces shields, puts on so much shield pressure like here. My opponent can't really overfarm as well, so he has to throw the Sludge Bomb right away. I'm recognizing my opponent only gets off 1 Mod Bomb here. Also, I can't overfarm because the counter damage will just chunk us down. What I have to hope for is get off this Flash Cannon and then get to another Flash Cannon before they charm us down. They're not going to generate enough energy to get to a move, so I just have to pray that I get to a Flash Cannon. We got a little bit of lag. Fortunately, I get to the Flash Cannon in the last second with exactly 1 HP, guys. Exactly 1 HP. As you guys can see, we had one extra charm, we would have died. And here we have an ending elo of 3150 right after our battles. After our 16 and 4 over 4 sets, so it was really exciting. I really like this team. I think it's probably one of the most solid lines in this Remix Cup, just because they cover each other so well. You have Dragonite that handles pretty much anything that's not a Steel type or a Fairy type. Basically anything Dragonite can usually handle. And then you have Registeel, which is just very strong, even against its counters. You can force shields. And then of course we have defense from Deoxys, one of the best safe swaps, and handles the core of Mew and Bastidon. If you don't have Deoxys, you could definitely use Mew as well, because Mew can also handle the Bastidon and Medicham core. And if you don't have Mew, then you could also try Sableye. But in that case, you want to lead your Registeel, so that you don't have double charm weakness in the lead and in the back. But I hope you guys enjoyed the battles. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button and subscribe for more video in the future. And I'll see you guys in my next video.